of the female persuasion to breathe as opposed to gasping for air.
The funny thing is that when I first heard about the GEV competition, it was actually a fellow poet of mine who sent me the post, and he told me, you know what, this is something I really feel that you would be great in. And first of all, one, I was surprised. I was like, I've worked with FAO before and I've never really heard of this thing before. And I was like, oh my goodness. One, I'm not really one to enter competitions that often, but I saw what it was about and I was like, you know what? I am very passionate about women. I'm very passionate about gender-based issues. I'm very passionate about equality and equity. And I was like, this is my niche. This is something I'm very passionate about. And so I thought to myself, why not, right? Why not take this leap? Why not take this chance to enter something and become, or just have a small, or make an imprint, or have a small part to play in exercising the voices of women, right? And so I began writing and I began looking through past material and I began researching all these things. And I was like, what are the issues hounding women? What are the things that we're still trying to talk about? And I remember when I got the information, it was only 1 week to deadline of submission. Okay, it was 3 days to deadline of submission. So I wrote as fast as I could. I made sure I was like, you know, I'm not gonna miss this opportunity. I sent everything in by midnight and I waited. Because I was just now waiting to see if I made the final list. And getting that email to say, oh, you're going to the grand competition, it made me so happy. It told me what you're doing. It helped validate what I was saying, and it helped me know that I could even play a bigger role than I thought I could. And I was so happy to participate. And then finally getting to that stage and meeting all these other women who had participated, I was so, first of all, I was shocked by how young some of the participants were. And some of the poems they were giving were so electric and so beautiful, and they're talking about such deep issues. And I got to interact with some of these ladies backstage, and I got to experience and hear their stories and see how they all came together. And I realized that there's so many people who are passionate and who want to change the world, and who want to change the world through poetry at that. Because as a poet, I realized there are not many people who know what poetry is, or who understand what today modern version of poetry, or who don't even get that poetry can be such a driving force for change, and not just entertainment, but change and all these other things. And so realizing there's so many young, talented female poets out there who are also as hungry as I am to see change and to express themselves through poetry. It was really great, and to see that this competition could give them all an umbrella, a blanket, or a home to come under and express themselves and get their voices heard and seen was really amazing. Like I said, there were so many great poets that participated, and I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous when I had some of them perform, and I was doubtful of myself in some aspects, but I was hopeful at the same time. And truth be told, when they began reading out the third runner-up and then the second runner-up, and then finally when they mentioned my name, I can't explain to you how much joy and exhilaration I felt. And I remember looking to my sister in the audience and just, oh, it was such a magical moment in my life, because I haven't won many things, and this was a great experience for me. I can't really say that. Yeah, I have been a poet for about 6 years now, right? And the beauty of poetry is that it's all about expressing the most, it's bringing emotion to the most minute of, it's making the most simplest sentences sound really expressive. And poetry is a very expressive art form. I've been doing poetry for 6 years, and I realized it's such a powerful tool, because you can speak on so many issues. It's not limited. There's no limitations in poetry. Just like I feel like it's music or whatever, but with poetry, it's so simple, because it requires you to be as honest as you can and speak about as many things as you can in as little time as possible, in a sense. And I have seen, because I told myself, I wondered, you know, if musicians can speak for change, if painters can draw for change, like, why not poets, right? Why not this art form, which is the best, or one of, I feel, the best at expressing things and expressing emotions and drawing to the heart of the topic, because poetry is all about getting to the root of what you're trying to say. And and also being a woman, I also realized so many things are going on in my life, and I just decided to marry my two passions because I love poetry, but I'm also very disenfranchised about what society is like for women, and I've lived as a woman in this world as well. And so I thought to myself, how do I marry these two passions of mine? Right? How do I marry my love for poetry and speaking and entertaining and drawing people in with the things that are affecting me in my day-to-day life as a woman? And so I thought to myself, why not combine the two? And when I did, I realized that if I can speak on women's issues in a poetic form, if I can get people, if I can both entertain and educate people at the same time, I realized that it's such a beautiful marriage, such a beautiful driving force for change. So that's why I realized poetry helped me really drive my passion for my expression and for advocacy of women's rights. We need platforms. We need platforms like all competitions like GEV. We need platforms or competitions that encourage people to write and speak on these things. Why? Because they start conversations. They bring people into a room. They challenge people. So say someone will come in saying, "Oh, I want to win money." But how do I win money? I have to speak on women's rights. Okay, and this person is going to end up now going down a rabbit hole. They're going to read, they're going to research, they're going to learn more. Such things open up conversations. They also spread awareness, and also they encourage, because it's really, I feel like GV was targeting the youth. So it is going to an earlier stage. It's going to children in high school, all the way to university. It's targeting certain people who are not already up. Because you see, I feel like where we've come in society, people are now thinking, oh, people are fall into danger of thinking we have now reached a place where we can be comfortable in women's rights. But such things force people to think and look further and realize that there's still more work needing to be done. So they push conversations, they push narratives, and they educate people, and they force people to actually sit down and listen. And also in a more fun way, I feel. And they make it very interactive for the youth, for their families, for their friends, because all these people they are bringing into these conversations are also learning. Even as they write, even as they speak, as they write poetry, as they speak poetry, they learn more about what is going around in the world, because you can find that as a woman, or where you are, say where I am in my place in life, I have privilege. I acknowledge my privilege. But when I have to write about women's rights, I have to sit down and look at all the other women besides myself, because I'm not speaking only for myself. I'm forced to look further. I'm forced to realize that there are things that I didn't even know about. And so things like this force conversation, they force learning, and they are so engaging because one, it's entertaining, and so it also brings a funness to it, but it helps the conversation not go flat. It helps to remind people. There are reminders that we still have work to do. There are reminders that there's still people hungry. It's a reminder that there's still people who care, right? There's still people who want to see change, and that the change we have is not enough, and we should not be complacent. It reminds us not to settle down and get comfortable where we are, and to push ourselves, to push our boundaries, to push our creativity, to push our resources, to push our involvement and engagement, and see how we can engage for a better tomorrow. Yeah.